let's talk about color theory. So I'll start with the terms, terminologies, rather color modes, color psychology, and finally we'll talk about color harmony, how to use color. But first, let's go to the terms in colors. So now, talking about terms in colors, we have what we call hue. Hue in color means is actually the color itself, just like color red, green, blue, yellow, orange, and a few examples of different hue. So when somebody say color, it also means hue at the same time. When I ask, okay, what color are you using, means what hue are you using. So we have value too. Value is the measurement of brightness of the color, so which is also represented on this graph. That means this particular section shows, if you've been using any design softwares, for you'll notice, you'll be familiar with this particular color graph. The left hand side bar, just like the XYZ of a graph note, the left hand side here, the Y section is the value and the X section is the saturation for color graph. Then here we have the hue, that means the particular color itself. So each color has its own graph. So tint and shade. Tint and shade describes how color varies from its original hue. If white is added, the lighter version of the color is a tint of that particular color. On the other hand, if black is added, then we can call it a shade of that particular color. So now that will take us down to chroma. Chroma is the purity of an actual color without adding any light or dark on it, any black, any white, and is the purity of that color. So we can actually find the chroma of the color around this edge of this graph. The chroma of the color around the edge of this graph. So now we talk about saturation, which is the x-axis of a regular graph note. So the saturation is a matter of light and dark, or rather how pale or strong the color is. What this means is saturation is actually the difference in a particular color, still a shade of that particular chroma, that single color, but now it now have the addition of light and dark of it. That means around this side, you can call around this note now. This is what we call from here to down this part. It's called is what we can call saturation. So we can call saturation. That means the thickness from the purity, from the chroma of the color to the impurity of the color. Then we can call that saturation. So this is a perfect graph of what all these terms means or imply, which this can also be an explanation to that. So we call I said that this, the right hand side of this of the graph is hue, which is the actual color itself. Hue is also equivalent to color, synonymous to color. So while the y-axis of a regular graph note is the value, that means the measurement of the brightness of the color. So the saturation is the purity of, is a difference in purity, impurity or purity of a particular chroma of a particular color. So that means from here to here we can call saturation, and from here to here we can call the value of the color. So this is a perfect example of the saturation of red. That means this is the purest color red we can get from this section, and it keeps fainting and getting faint on this part. And for value is the addition of the black and white to just the addition of brightness and darkness to a particular color. So as we can see, represented in color black here. Now the hue is each individual color on the top. So I would also like to let us understand what color temperature means. Color temperature is actually the amount of warmness or coolness of a particular color. So it is measured in Kelvin. So we can see that the warmer colors are lower colors. They are of lower values 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and 5,000. Then the cooler colors are of higher values around this section. So I will, the reason why we are talking about color temperature actually is so we can relate it with color harmony and know how best we can use them, because their color temperature is very important during color combination. It's very important. So we know when to use cool colors and when to use warm colors. So now let's go to the next outline, which is color mode. So talking about color mode, color modes are, we have different types of color modes, and whenever we use our softwares, InDesign, Photoshop, or Illustrator, there are modes that are selected before you initiate any preset or before you create a new file. You can also change mode later. You can also print a particular mode out. So there are modes you need to work with. There are mode every project is associated with, which we need to know. So now there are different color modes, and each color mode are specific for a particular reason, for a particular use. First, we talk about the CMYK color mode. CMYK is used in printing. It uses the component cyan for the C letter, the magenta for the M, the yellow for the Y, and the black for the K, giving us a CMYK to define a color. Values of this component range from 0 to 100. When we get down to the software, I will be able to point out this particular section where we can change the color mode and all of that. So now, this is a color mixture or color relationship between the CMYK color. So in a CMYK color, CMYK is basically all about printing. So you can only find CMYK in hard copies. You can only find it in printers. Like, it only works perfectly well with printers. So that means if you are actually designing or making a production or making a design presentation, and you have intent of printing this particular document out, the best mode to use, the best mode or the best presets to use on your software while designing is a CMYK color, so that you can print the actual or the exact color of that particular design out, so you don't print something else different, because each mode comes or have different color relationship. So now also we'll talk about the HSB color mode. The HSB color mode is also known as HSV color mode. What does this mean? HSB means hue, saturation, and brightness, which can also be hue, saturation, and value. So it's also a color mode in the computer system. And also we have an RGB color mode. RGB color mode basically are for electronic devices. So if you're making a design that you need to put on a gadget or reflect on a screen, on an electronic screen, like for instance now, if you're designing for the purpose of a laptop, a mobile phone or a smartphone, a television, anything electronic that will be displayed on the screen, that will be displayed through light, basically, RGB is the best to use. That means RGB is the best to use. So RGB color modes is coming from the combination of red, green, and blue. So the amount of red, the amount of green, and the amount of blue are the summation of all the colors that will be displayed. That will be displayed in a design. So the color ranges from 0 to 255. So now, as you can see, the combination here to produce or to give this particular secondary colors, and also the combination of all of these colors that also bring us back to a wide spectrum. But for CMYK, the combination of these particular colors will take us back to black. So the total addition of what is it called? The addition of all these colors will give us the particular white, and that of this will give us particular black. So majorly the difference between CMYK color mode and RGB color mode is this. CMYK color mode is basically for prints. That means a design done on RGB, when printed, you will not get the exact color depth, the exact color of that particular document, unlike if the design was actually done in CMYK. So the same thing applies, and it's vice versa to RGB too. So if a design was actually done in RGB in CMYK and it's now been sent to an electronic device for consumption, the display will not give the actual color of that particular design. So that is what I'm just trying to express in this whole. That's what I just want us to understand in this two juxtaposition or two differentiations. So and finally, we'll talk about the grayscale color. We all know black and white. That's basically what the grayscale means. The grayscale color will define colors by using only one component, lightness, which is measured in values ranging from 0 to 255. Each grayscale color has equal values of red, green, and blue component of RGB color mode. So changing a color photo to grayscale creates a black and white photo. So now, basically, our RGB colors too are also can be converted to grayscale, can be converted to black and white. So they have a common relationship together, but the difference is the grayscale does not have the common colors, different hues at all. Grayscale is predominantly white and black, and RGB has families of primary colors, secondary colors, and the like. And CMYK colors are basically for print jobs, and RGB colors are basically for electronic display, screen displays. So let's go to the next outline, which is color psychology. So color psychology is a study of color and how it influences the human behavior. Why should I use color? Which should be a very perfect question. If we always use the same color, our clients will recognize us as a particular brand. Have you ever come across any Instagram post or Instagram page and you see just one particular color of a design, their posters, their flyers, and everything throughout? Maybe the numbers of designs you saw on that page was 100 or 200 or more than or less than. But what you can just see is they have the families of green, and all their design going on in all that designs. This actually implies that they are a brand, and that is a particular color they know them for. So all their designs has to come in that particular color. So in that, what it actually helps is it helps the viewer, it helps the audience identify and know that they don't need to think far or think too much about trying to identify or know this particular brand. They get used to the brand whenever they see the associated color. They know that this is the color. For instance, Dell is just all about blue. So whenever you see blue and a common circle or a round circle and a few letters inside, you know that is Dell. You cannot see Dell and see red. You cannot see Dell and see what was it called? Cannot see Dell and see purple. So it will definitely be blue. If you go to their website, all their design is basically in blue too. So everything about Dell is just blue. So that's a perfect example or that's a perfect reason why we use color, just to be recognized as a brand. It helps us to remember more easily. If we see an image in black and white, it will be more difficult to remember than an image of a color like yellow or green. So that's it. Color sticks to memories, unlike having grayscale, white and black. So grayscales always look common most times. Whenever you see black and white picture, instead of that black and white picture, you tend to find it difficult to relate with them or differentiate after checking each of it, maybe after some few days or few weeks again. Unlike colors, even before you take a very detailed concentration on that particular image, when it's a color or when they are different colors, you know that, okay, I've come across this particular image before. And also, continue with the previous point, advertisements with colors live receive 42% more often than those who do not use them. So we definitely know that adverts now, if you want to make adverts, if you want adverts to sell, if you want to call attention, if you want to attract people, you need colors. Colors are very, very important, and we need to know that. So now color psychology, each color has particular meaning and what they inspire. So for color red, the most used in advertisement, that it calls attention all the time. So it inspires courage to do what it costs us. Power, attractions, and sensuality. What color red actually means is like I said earlier, it attracts a lot, no matter what. We can see that in the popular Netflix logo, Levi's, and some few designs. It signifies power, definitely. Make art, it calls and draws strong attention. That's what red does. And also we have yellow. Color yellow, it transmits positive feelings such as optimism, joy, intelligence, happiness, and energy. Although it also have its own negative connotations, such as insecurity, jealousy, resentment, selfishness, or falsehood. So, talking about yellow, as we can see, yellow is a common color also, and it's a good color. It's also part of the primary colors. So we can see that in the common cat logo, McDonald's, Shell, and all of that. So color to yellow has its own meaning. So that means if you're making a design, it will be very good for you to relate and understand what this particular color means and how it's going to have an effect on people outside. So that means there should be a concept, like I've been saying in the previous video. There should be a concept behind, maybe a concept behind your project design, and you should be able to relate it to a particular meaning, starting from the text, from the shape, from the composition, and down to color. So now let's go to the next one. We have color blue. Color blue inspires relaxation, confidence, success, depth, loyalty, professionalism, confidence. Like I repeated that part, as well as wisdom and knowledge. So color blue is a particular color that inspires wisdom and knowledge. As you all know, IBM, we know Twitter, we know the Dell logo too. Like I give an instance, the Dell logo is in color blue, and you know that Dell is all about technology, and knowledge is equivalent to tech. So definitely, um, whenever you're doing a design, try to relate the meaning of the color you're using to what you're doing. So you should have a particular color in mind, a particular, not all the color, just an idea of a particular color in mind before you even initiate the design. Understand now? So we have the popular Nivea logo for the body frame and all of that. Shows relaxation and so on and so forth. We can see a sample of a design in color blue and all of that. So whenever you see blue, you feel relaxed, you feel confidence, you feel success, depth, loyalty, professionalism. Um, Also, we have orange. Orange inspires energy, persuasion, motivation, and self-confidence. It also increases sexual tone. We all know or we might have seen the popular, the legendary Lion King, the movie. See, this the poster of that movie. The movie is actually all about motivation, self confidence, and all of that. And it's also depicted. It was depicted in the poster design also, as we can see it here. So the popular Nickelodeon logo, Orange, Crush, Ems Paris, and all of that. So now we go down to color green. Green, it represents friendship, freshness, respect, life, health, and growth. So we can associate color green to nature, to life. So you know that this is what green means. And whenever you're doing design, it should depict, if your design is all about nature, all about growth, all about freshness, respect, life, and health, your design should depict what greens really says. Also, white. Right. I will not want to just give so list just a few examples above of just colorful colors. Let me use that word, colorful colors. But let's come to neutral colors, which are white and black, and so that we can discuss one or two things about them too. White, it conveys positive as well negative feelings. Its positive side is the transmission of purity, light, goodness, cleanliness, and perfection. And on the other hand, you have negative feelings such as coldness, emptiness, or low vitality. So now we can see white depicted in the popular Mercedes-Benz logo, Wikipedia. Whenever you try to associate um, a particular logo with silver-like look, definitely you are actually working with a white color. So that's a perfect example of color white. So talking about Mercedes Benz, Mercedes Benz focus more about luxury and perfection. That's one thing. Or gold also focus about luxury and perfection. We can associate color white with luxury. We can associate color white with purity. We can associate color white with cleanliness, perfection, and all of that. So let's also go to the last section, which is black. Black is said to be the absence of color. It conveys positive feelings such as mystery, seriousness, elegance, and vigor. And it also transmits negative feelings such as bad luck, hatred, and unconsciousness. We all know whenever you're in the dark or whenever you see color black in the wilderness or alone, you know what it means. I don't really need to go in depth in that. But at the same end, black does not really mean all negatives. Black has its own benefit, its own positivity. So it shows elegance. The popular Amazon logo, Nike, and also WWF logo. So that is, there are still more colors to make or know more about them, which we can make research and try to know what they actually mean, so that it can be inspirations to our designs. So I will not want to. These are the few ones I will just make list or have said one or two things about, and I expect us to make research about them and try to read more about colors, so or know to be able to associate their meanings to our designs. So finally, we'll talk about color harmonies, which is where the main deal is. So, what is color harmony? Color harmony refers to aesthetically pleasing and harmonious color combination based on geometric relationship on the colorway. We all know the popular colorway when we are in school those days, and the fine art teacher or visual art teacher will ask us to draw colorway, paint, and all of that. Where we know the popular primary colors and the secondary colors. The primary colors, the red, yellow, and blue. So this is an idea of art coming into design, and that is the source of designs basically when it comes to color theory. So now there are different color harmony called methods of harmonizing color together, or bringing color or usage of colors, one or more colors. So number one, we have the complementary mode, the complementary method. The complementary pairs are colors positioned on opposite end of the color wheel. That means colors facing each other on the color wheel. That means we have the red and the green, they are facing each other on the color wheel, and the blue and the orange facing each other on the color wheel. So definitely those colors are really blends. Their colors are really matched together. But there's an issue with complementary colors whenever we are working with them. Please note, text and backgrounds in complementary colors are tough to read, so stay away from that. That means it's very difficult to actually relate complementary colors to relate text and background together, because the opposite colors on the color wheel have heavy contrast at the same time. So now when you're trying to, they both have heavy contrast. So when we are trying to use text, a text with a color that has a very strong contrast and with a background that has a strong contrast, it's very difficult for people or for your audience or your viewers to be able to read this particular content, to be able to read it very well. So Like I said in the earlier video, that contrast is the difference between this particular thing and that particular thing, be it text shape. So it also applies to color also. So let us make sure that whenever we're working with complementary colors, we try to move away from the aspect of trying to use a darker two darker colors when it comes to text. They really blend. This is a perfect example of complementary color. Now, imagine we have this as a normal background, and we are having this particular green as a text. So it will definitely be an issue to relate with. So that's what I'm trying to say. So now, secondly, we go to the split complementary color. They have one key color and two colors adjacent to the color wheel. As we can see here, just one of these and then two more colors adjacent to the color wheel. So it's easy to understand how to use them. Use the two base colors for most of the artwork and the accent color. What is an accent color? These are colors that actually the accent colors are colors with the main, like the minimum quantity in a design. So that means the colors that you are using to complement a particular design. It's not the major color, it's not the main color, it's the colors that follows. That basically accent colors are used to make emphasis. So let me use that word. Accent colors are used to make emphasis in design. They are not the actual color or the background color most times, and they might be your background color also, but they are basically used to make any color that you're using to make emphasis in the design. It's called an accent color. So now, as you can see, the split complementary color is has one major color. So that means it has one major color and two more other colors. The two more other colors can be an accent color, or either we use two of the color and use one as an accent color. Just like in this particular image, we have two of this as the major color and we have an accent color which you just use to make emphasis around the side. So that is that. Let's go to the next one, which is analogous. Analogous color consists of three hues, that means three colors, all positioned next to each other on the color wheel. Something like this, from here to here, or we can have from here to here, or we can have from here to here, on and on and on. So one thing about analogous color is when employing an analogous color scheme, stick to 60-30 rule to maintain a visual appealing balance. What does 60-30-10 rule means in a color combination? 60-30 means that means the one of the color, the major color, or one of the major color will be 60%, then followed by the next one will be 30 and 10. Now we don't just, this is a perfect example of an image here. This we can see that this particular side of the color is almost taking 60% of your composition, followed by this particular color, which is the black, taking 30%, and followed by this taking the 10%. That's a perfect example of it. Also stick to warm colors, warm or cool colors because your design will give a sense of cohesion and harmony by using only one color temperature. Yes, that was why I gave an instance, or I included color temperature as a part of terminology or terms in color theory. So now we know that the warmer colors are the colors that have lower temperature, and the higher colors are the higher temperature colors are the cooler colors. So that means we shouldn't try to bring color, what's it called? Let me go back to that. We shouldn't try to mix warm color and cool colors together whenever we are using that particular mode. We should not try to bring them together. Is it that we stick with warm colors only, or we stick with cool colors only? What does this really mean? So that means whenever I'm using analogous colors, I can stick with just one color, or I come here and stick with just cool color here. I stick with cool color here. So that's what we actually mean. Or we can also use this as a cool colors too. Can use this green on and until this yellow cool color. So we stick with warmer colors or we stick with higher colors. That way we'll actually be harmonizing our color properly well. We'll be harmonizing the colors, bringing them together. They will be blending with each other. And whenever you're doing it, for instance, if you're using this, and this, you have to make sure that it's either this is a major 60% and this is a 30 or this is a 10, or which other way. Just make sure you stick with the 60-30-10 rule. This is a perfect example of the analogous color rule also. Now we have the triadic. The triadic color rule is a color combination that consists of three colors evenly spaced on the color wheel. This we all know the equilateral triangle that has all the three sides is equal. So this is a perfect example of you just drawing an equilateral triangle on the color wheel. So wherever the angles of the colors of the triangle meet is actually now the colors that works or blends perfectly well with each other. But when choosing your colors in harmony, let one hue dominate. That means you have to make just one particular color be the major color, and every other colors will just serve as accent. Like I said, will serve as emphasis. And like I said earlier, that accent colors are colors that are used to make emphasis. So when you're using a triadic color rule, make sure that you make one color, one hue dominant, and every other color, the remaining two colors, can be accent colors. This way you avoid a childlike effect that can ruin your design. As you can see in this picture, the major color here is blue, just one, and the accent colors are just a touch of this yellow and red. So we can call this a percentage of about, let's say, the yellow is about 10 and the red is about 20, and we can call the blue 70, or major color. So stick with that. Same thing applies to this. This is a perfect triadic rule. And also we have tetradic rule. They have 4 colors, a key color and 3 more colors, all equidistant from the key color on the color wheel. So by drawing a rectangle on the color wheel, we have a tetradic color rule. So whenever you're using a tetradic color rule, let one color dominate, just like the triadic. Balance the use of warm colors and cool colors wisely, and use neutral colors so that the colors pop where they are supposed. So there's a secret. There's a secret to this. Whenever you're trying to deal with a lot of colors, you can streamline yourself to warmer colors only or cool colors only, so that you can actually so that you will not have issues harmonizing all the colors together, because you know that there is what we call color temperature, and you know the groups of warm colors and the groups of cool colors. So if you're using warm colors alone and you now decide to use a triadic color, you should know that, okay, definitely you are harmonizing colors in that means, because you're already working with the warmer colors. And the same thing applies to cooler colors. But in a situation when you're using tetradic color and we have a what's it called, inclusive, we have a cool color inclusive in it, you have to take note that whenever you're using warm colors, just a bit or an accent of what's it called, an accent of um of cool color should be inclusive in it. So this is a perfect example of tetradic color rule. Now, as you can see, the color we have the blue, and every other colors blends perfectly well. Just like, let's say we have the 3 colors and one other major colors. So you have one color, which is this is a cool color, and every other color now, which is a warm color, comes in between. So this might be a little bit very tricky to deal with. So There are some rules that when you jump into it, you should always make sure that you understand them perfectly well before you deal with them, or else you have issues managing or harmonizing the colors together. So we also have square rule. This consists of four colors spaced evenly around the color rule. To create a square color palette, pick the key color to start with. For all these color rules, you have to pick a key color first, number one color that can relate with every other. Then you just draw your rule on it to know the next color that best suits what you're doing. This is a perfect example. By drawing a square on the color wheel, the four edges will pick a particular, will pick four colors to work with. When you can always let one color dominate and balance the cool temperature to make a square color scheme for your project without it looking juvenile, looking like a child's play. Alternatively, you can let an achromatic color, black, white, or gray, dominant or dominate, and let your four hues or your four colors as accents. This can give a more modern, sleek look that still catches the eye. That means you can make just one neutral color be the color of dominance in the design. Then you can use the other colors, the four colors, to just come in and play around as emphasis. This is a perfect example. As you can see, this sky, the background there is a gray color, is a neutral color. Then every other color can come in. So you, for instance, maybe the color here is now the background. You start having issues with the composition and all of that. We can see that this is a perfect example of a square color. We have the yellow, the red, and every other thing comes, the green comes in between. So the best way to use square color is by making sure that a neutral color is the major or the background color. So finally, we have the monochromatic color. It uses a single base hue and expands the color scheme by using different shade tone and tints of that color family. That means that is the easiest to use because you just pick a particular color and the other colors will be the tint of it. That means if you're using red, you use just this and down. If you're using blue, you use just this and all the colors down. If you're using green, on and on, yellow on and on. So you don't need to relate with every other hue on the page. You have just one particular hue and the shades and dark of that particular color. This is a perfect example of it, the shades and dark of it, and this is a perfect example of it. So that is that for color theory. I hope you enjoy the class. Thank you.